Hi, Terry Michael, the Bible lady, and I have so much I want to tell you. I want to talk fast, okay? Jerusalem prophecy, know before you go. So Daniel is in Babylon, remember? It's about 550 BC now, around 36 years after the destruction of Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, and Daniel's visions began. But before that, let's look, a lot has happened. Daniel and his friends have been there a while. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, as they were renamed, they were in the fire, and Nebuchadnezzar went mad for 7 years. And at the end of those years, this is what it says. At the end of that time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes toward heaven, and my sanity was restored. Then I praised the Most High. I honored and glorified him who lives forever. His dominion is an eternal dominion. His kingdom endures from generation to generation. This is the king of Babylon. All the peoples of the earth are regarded as nothing. He does as he pleases with the powers of heaven and the peoples of the earth. No one can hold back his hand or say to him, "What have you done?" That's in Daniel 3, 34 and 35. Nebuchadnezzar's sanity was restored, but I want to mention here that this was the man who destroyed Solomon's temple. This was a man who destroyed the temple of God and took all of the things that were there that were used for offering, for worship, took them back to Babylon. He made a turnaround. He did spend 7 years in wilderness, but he made a turnaround and came out praising God. So after his death, Evil-merodach succeeds him, and Jehoiachin, who is Jehoiakim's son. Jehoiakim was the last king we talked about. So this is his son, Jehoiachin. He's released from prison because he had been taken. In the meantime, he had been taken to Babylon. Jeremiah dies, the prophet Jeremiah. Evil-merodach is killed, and Nabonidus reigns in Babylon with his son Belshazzar, co-reigning. Daniel is tested in a lion's den, and in Daniel chapter 7, his visions begin. It's Daniel's first vision after his dream that he interpreted of Nebuchadnezzar's dream that was in Daniel chapter 2. And in chapter 7, this occurs in the first year of the reign of Belshazzar. So these visions pertain to Israel and the Antichrist and correlate with Nebuchadnezzar's dream in Daniel chapter 2. So I want you to see something in Daniel chapter 2 first. In verses 44 and 45, it says, "In the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor will it be left to another people. It will crush all those kingdoms and bring them to an end, but it will itself endure." This is the meaning of the vision of the rock out of a mountain, but not by human hands. A rock that broke the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold to pieces. And the great God has shown the king what will take place in the future. The dream is true, and its interpretation is trustworthy. Nebuchadnezzar dreamt about the setting up of the Messiah at the times of the Romans, because they were the empire of iron and clay. He dreamt of Jesus, and his wise men were almost killed. Nebuchadnezzar's wise men were almost killed if they couldn't tell him that. But Daniel interpreted after Daniel and his friends prayed. Wow. So quickly, chapter 8 records Daniel's second vision in the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar. This is the one I wanted to get to. There's the little horn. So it's there in Daniel 7:8 and in Daniel 8:9, and it refers to the Antichrist. Dakes, my famous Dakes, says, out of one of these 4 divisions of the old Grecian Empire will come the little horn or future Antichrist, who will become great in Egypt, Iraq, Iran, and Palestine. That's in his note on page 866 in Dake's Annotated Bible under Daniel 8:9. So 4 kings, this is his history, 4 kings were formed from Alexander the Great's empire. And 4 kingdoms were formed. Greece, Turkey, Syria, and Egypt. This was after Alexander the Great died, and his officers took over and formed these kingdoms, these countries. Well, they're in the news even today, aren't they? Turkey, Syria, Egypt, Greece. So look at this. Verse 9 says, out of one of them came another horn, which started small but grew in power to the south and to the east and toward the beautiful land. Well, you know where the beautiful land is. If he waxes great and exceedingly toward the south, that means then the country must be on the north, which may be Iran, Syria, or Iraq. And if he's great toward the east, then the country that they're talking about should be west of Israel or the Promised Land, which is Turkey or Syria. So I think we're down to Turkey or Syria. Great to look at, great to know, because God wants us to be forewarned. The Lord tells us what's going to happen in the future through prophecy. And we talked about that last week with King Hezekiah. So he doesn't tell us when exactly, but here he's giving us clues. C-L-U-E-S in capitals, clues. This is great. We have to set this down prayerfully, consider what God is saying, because he doesn't just talk to talk. God tells us things because they're important. He talks so that we'll listen and be prepared. So as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Jerusalem is at the center and will be made the capital of Israel before the Antichrist comes. It's not the capital now. Jerusalem is not the capital. Tel Aviv is. So whenever you're watching this, at this time, Tel Aviv is the capital. The American embassy has been moved to Jerusalem, but the capital is Tel Aviv. Know before you go. Listen and learn from prophecy. When you see these things happen, know that the end is near. God bless.